We are actually reviewing something very near and dear to my heart today, which is Dia the browser. Not Dia for Dia de los Muertos, although I gotta be honest, that would have been a really super cool thing to have named this browser for, but I don't give the browser company credit for that. Hello there. Were you able to get the teacup in the shot? I hope so, because this is my Sailor Moon teacup. It's got all the adorable symbols for the planets, and hopefully I won't break it here. Like many of you, I have recently engaged in the hiring process. This time I've been on the looking for work side of things instead of the hiring people side of things. So I know what it's like on both sides. And let me just say right now, it sucks out there. Even for people in tech, even experienced people with big names on their resume like Meta and the React team like myself. It's not what it was 5 years ago, kids. I learned a lot, had a lot of fun, built a lot of things. Honestly, didn't mind the take-homes too much because I got to work with some really cool tech and ask the people who are building it some great questions. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Dia, because if you know me, you know that I go way, way, way back into the olden times when we had Firefox as the top dog browser. I know, right? That was a thing at one point. And I worked with Mozilla, I worked on the web animation API, I was there for the rise of Chrome. I remember the comic book that Scott McCloud, my favorite cartoonist, made with the Chrome team to promote Chrome. Like, I remember it all. I've been on the W3C. I've built this ecosystem alongside everybody. And now the age of AI is here, and it is, let's be honest, it's changing things. I'm reading this great book called Heavenly Tyrant. It's the second in a trilogy. The first one is Iron Widow. I highly recommend it. Just saying, it's like alternate universe science fiction Chinese history with a feminist spin, and it's awesome. It has mecha in it. That's all you really need to know. But there's a phrase, "The world has changed and you must change with it," that the author keeps using, and it really rings in my ears right now. The world is changing and we must change with it. If you can hear that noise in the background, that's my computer fan going. I'm pretty sure it's because of whatever animation the browser company has put here. I know it looks cool to do something like this animation over and over, but dear founders, please stop. The only reason the fans on my MacBook Pro should be running is if I've got DeepSeek running on it. So, I've seen it come and go, and what I'm watching right now is browsers are trying to stay relevant. At a time when searches on Google are dropping, traffic to websites and even to YouTube is dropping, people are getting digests of information from personal agents that have access to the internet, and hosts are being slammed with bots crawling them for information, and people's work are being ripped off left and right. We're in a place where ads and eyeballs can no longer be used to monetize the internet. And another big question is, if people aren't using the internet the same way, where do browsers sit in all this? It is possible for me to use my Claude, the way I've specially equipped it, to go the entire day with just Claude and cursor and never visit the internet. I know that sounds like a pretty pathetic life, but you know, you throw in some YouTube in there and you're golden. So this is Dia. Dia was created by the browser company. If you remember Arc was their first browser. Let me pull up Arc here. Arc, don't embarrass me. People really loved Arc. It's got this ability to like show and hide. If you hit Command S, look, it's got this sidebar. You can switch into different profiles. Like, you can't talk about Dia without talking about Arc. And you know, I had all these sidebars that allowed me to slip into different kinds of mindsets. I even had one specifically set up for when I'm streaming. It includes, you know, links to be able to read the chat. I'm just gonna actually hang on to this and put this away. And it's badass, you know, people loved this. They absolutely adored it. And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Ha ha, I'm kidding. And they They didn't attack. It just the investors changed their minds. By the way, I also downloaded Comet. I got early access to Comet from Perplexity. Interview magic. And I cannot wait to do the unboxing for Comet, which we'll do later. But I unboxed Dia, which is the browser company's newest stab at making a browser. Arc was beloved by many people who work in tech. It really bent over backwards to make an amazing user experience for people browsing the web. The sidebar was so popular that, even Mozilla and Edge ended up building in a sidebar. Now, you see a sidebar here in Dia, but it actually didn't ship with a sidebar. It shipped like Chrome with tabs across the top. This sidebar was added because people kept asking for it. Let me give you some background here. So the browser company that makes Dia is a startup. I know that a bunch of great people who've worked on browsers in the past worked there and then left. But the browser company, let's see, here we go. They've recently been releasing some new branding. They've gotten some flack for releasing branding rather than supporting Arc. Arc was on a brilliant arc. It was popular. It got a lot of traction with the technorati. And then it just kind of shifted to linear user acquisition. It didn't make it outside the special group of people who love a great user interface, like myself. And that was a problem, you gotta constantly be growing, right? But they were doing some cool things with customization, making the browser, you pick different colors. They even had an AI preview where you could hover over a link and it would a little preview right underneath it. It was really designed for an amazing user experience. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, the founders were like, yeah, we're gonna hold off on continuing to invest in Arc for a bit. The updates started slowing down, the investment started slacking off, and there's a real question of, is Arc abandonware or not? And the company promised that they were building something new, something unusual, something not a browser, something that was browsing for the agentic age. They teased a lot. They said, we're building Dia, we're building Dia. It's not a browser. But we got a browser, y'all. What we got was essentially Chrome with ChatGPT strapped to its ass. And I'll be honest, there are lots of great sidebars that let you bring many different GPTs to your browsing experience. So this was a little disconcerting for the general public because, we were expecting something different from Arc. We were expecting the browser company to add something like this to Arc. And we figured, well, if they're not just going to be adding new features to Arc, then they must really be building a different experience. Maybe it's an experience that, you're not even viewing web pages, or maybe that, instead of starting with the web page, you start with the the black box, the conversation, and it opens up web pages for you to look into it, creates shopping tabs. My imagination can run wild. So when I finally got my hot little hands on Dia, and I did live stream that, the unboxing, I think you can find it on my YouTube still, I was a little confused because it felt like Arc, but without any of the nice UI touches I had come to expect. This whole sidebar, this was something one of their engineers pulled an all-nighter to add. They shipped without it. So we didn't, now you've got the browser company, maybe it should be called the browsers company. They have not one but two browsers now, one which is AI powered, and they make a case for why the AI use here is special, and one that's, just a nice experience. But you don't get the great AI in the nice experience, nor do you get a really nice experience in the Dia browser. So when I first ran through it, I had a lot of criticisms. I am a product type person here. I always have feedback. It's my feedback. I give it to the creators because I hope that they'll take the feedback on board. And you know what? A lot of the things that I complained about were addressed. We got this sidebar. It's not the sidebar I wanted. Thanks. I hate it. But still, I do appreciate that someone pulled an all-nighter because everybody asked for this sidebar. Other things I legitimately was sad about was, like, for instance, in this new experience. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, darn. I was hoping I could do kind of a brand new kind of first time experience. I was hoping I could load that in for you. But when I first came, like, they showed chat, write, and code, and the focus was really on the coding side. Like, all the use cases were things that engineers were going to care about. And I was like, what are you doing, browser company? Didn't you just have a problem with the only people using Arc were engineers? Why are all your use cases engineering based? And why are all these skills, they don't have any images? This is sad. I want visuals. And they did switch over the new onboarding experience. It does have, like little tiles of things that anybody could find useful. There's still a little too on the nose. Like, it's like, rewrite this page as though I'm talking to Paul Graham. I'm like, most people don't care who Paul Graham is. Most people, like 80%, 99% of the people who are going to use a browser in their lifetime don't know who Paul Graham is. This is not compelling. Tell me to rewrite it as though it was written by Kim Kardashian. Well, that, my friends, might get some people to hustle their butts in. So they're doing a little bit better at marketing it for the everyman. I did use this. I said I was going to use it for 2 weeks because first looks are not always the best looks, not always good looks. And I wanted to get to know the tool a little better. I wanted to see if these features would genuinely change my life. Yes, I have some colleagues who say it's absolutely changed their lives and made them more efficient. And good for them. This is diabrowser.com. Go check it out. If you have Arc, you can get access to it now. I'm on Mac. But I found that for me, in the end, it just wasn't life-changing. So let's take a look at what it's like. Actually, I think a nice place to start might be with the skills, because I think the skills are the part that really sets it apart. They have this personalization feature, which you can set to on, personalize your answers. Let me just, I can't make this text bigger. Oh, well. You can, if you personalize answers, Dia tailors its responses based on what you teach it here. It asks you a couple of questions. The onboarding was very straightforward. It's like, who inspires you? How do you best digest information? I suspect it's also keeping a running tab on me as a person somewhere hidden that I can't access, which is a little creepy because ChatGPT does this too. And I think it's really weird that we have devices that are allowed to form opinions of us that we don't have access to. Yeah, apparently that just weirds users out when they can see what a machine thinks of them. There is no mirror like a GPT's opinion formed from many interactions with you. I told it how I wanted it to write. I said, go out and find things by Rachel Neighbors. And I'm very direct. And when it comes to coding, it wants to know my preferences for coding. This, once again, like for a consumer-based product that they're trying to get escape velocity from the coding community, why? 99% of the market does not care, and this could be like, oh, this isn't for me. Let's talk skills, because I think skills are what make Dia actually kind of shine. How do I get signed up so that I can contribute skills? That's not very clear to me. Oh, wait, there's a button there. But the truth is, I haven't actually come up with a skill for me because I'm still doing everything, and I mean everything, in Claude. It's like I use Claude and I use Zapier and all of my automations run through that. So when I come to a page and there's a job there, I'm not, oh, what's this like? let me open up my AI sidebar. I'm more like, yeah, I'll ask Claude about it. So let's check it out. So they've got, this one's weird, color analysis to find the best product, match your hair, skin, and eye color, sample color palettes from your favorite sites. This one looks like fun. So what these are is their prompts. They call them skills. They call them skill. Guys, I'm India. All right, I'm India. You can have these kinds of prompts, and you can add, for instance, different tabs. The challenge is that it doesn't keep sessions. So one of the things I did when I first arrived in India, I'm going to switch over to my everyday Dia, and it's going to reveal all kinds of terrible things about my personality. So no judges. Let me grab it over. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, it's so big. You'll see my buffer. I'm going to go to nearestneighbors.com. This is my landing page full of wonderful things. Bum, bum, bum. Interesting. There we go. So we can open up Dia, and we can do a lot here. For instance, I can say list all the social media links on this page, and it's gonna, you know, like I said, it's the URLs, please, not just the names, but the URLs. You can it's a little bossy, but you can see that it's like having a ChatGPT conversation right here in the sidebar. I can't increase the font size in the sidebar. This is what I mean by, like, the user experience is a little, it's not as finessed, because if we were right now in Arc, oh, thank you so much for the compliments on my website. I wanted to give it a kind of a old Sperry computer feel, because that's what I was raised on, and on my mother's knee was a Sperry computer with that kind of neon yellow / green font. Much obliged. Hat tip. Now, the oh, no, I'm so happy. I'm really delighted that you're enjoying it. Now, so that's one of the complaints, but I had also complained, like, oh no, like, I should be able to just highlight things and talk about them. For a while, there was a little dot where I could do that, and then it disappeared. I can do this. Ask Dia. That doesn't seem to work. If you do Command E, you can open and close that side panel. You can also set the side panel to be floating, which I kind of like, because then I can move it around. But what I had really wanted was the ability to kind of hover over something and, you know, let's see. Okay, here we go. It's copying the selected text. All right. Okay, I highlighted it. What does this company do? What does their company do? It didn't actually follow the link, though, and that's sort of what I mean. That's kind of sad. It doesn't actually look like it went to the web page or anything like that. What do they build? And let's see if we can end up in a situation. Yeah, it's not visiting the website, so it's still a little bit not great. There's ability to give it, you can copy things as images or text. You can turn, you can retry it without personalization, which, yeah, you can see that's a little bit different. I personally wish that I could then just click away and dismiss this. I can Command E it, but I can Command E. But now I'm responsible for moving it all over, whereas what I wish would happen is if I were hovered over here and it wasn't visible and I Command E'd, it would just suddenly pop up there. Or if I highlight this text and I hit Command E, boom, it would pop up right next to it with like a sample written there. But as it is, the floating UI just feels a tiny bit, like I said, not polished. All right, so I did appreciate the one time I was using Dia, and when I would highlight things, there'd be these little circles at the ends of the highlight, and if I hovered over them, it would offer me the option to start talking to Dia about it. That was there for a while, and then it was gone. I guess it didn't test well. It was a little awkward when I first started using it. I warmed up to it. Hope they bring it back. So you might think, okay, what are some other criticisms I've got? Well, one of them is this. If I 2-up these, I can start running out of space. And it's not so bad on this ginormous screen I have here, but I want you to imagine I'm on my itty bitty laptop, my 15-incher. When I'm on my 15-inch laptop, I know I said itty bitty laptop, it's 15 inches. It is bigger than a 13-inch or a 12-inch. I'll give you that. I'm not gonna cast shade on anyone's laptop, but I gotta make my font super big. When it's on that device, the sidebars are huge and not dismissible. So if I want to do a 2-up, I end up with like a situation that looks like this, and it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad when it looks like that. There are a couple of ways around this. One is you can, or at least in Arc. Oh, you can't do it in Dia. In Arc, you could create a split, and you can't do that here. And I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's because it was too narrow. But when I write, used to be I could do add to split, and it would split the page, which means only one sidebar, 2 websites side by side. But I guess that's what I mean when I say that it's, let's check for it. No, it's up to date. When it's just not as finessed. But let's check out those skills. Like I said, I have my criticisms. I'm probably not going to keep using Dia. There are a bunch of new browsers on the market, including Comet and Strawberry, and I want to move on and try those out as well. Dia didn't do enough to evolve how I use the web and how useful I find the web to be for me to stick with it, but that might not be the same for you. I do think they did some cool stuff. For instance, if you go to my blog, yes, I have a blog. It's Agentic Web, nearestneighbors.com. There's this cool skill I downloaded, and it's called Verify. And let's just see, it's a prompt. What it does is it applies Socratic thinking and a couple of other measures to analyze if the arguments make sense, and if it's a strong analysis, or if it's just, somebody kind of rambling and being upset. And what I love is that it's got a validity rating. It's, I got strong and moderate. I got some pretty good feedback. It did a good job of, overall evaluating this. Maybe I'm just saying that because I like how nice it was to me. Hee hee. All right. But let's take a closer look at how these skills work. So up here, let's take a look at its skills. So once again, I can't make these fonts bigger. I want to, but I can't. No real way. What happens is you can prefix a query like /meetings, /promo, and when you're in that chat mode with the bar, you can do / and it'll give you this thing. I complained. I did, like I do. I was like, I don't want to have to use a / to remember to do these things. You can see them all show up here. There's one called Should I Work Here as well. I complained about that, and I think it's kind of hilarious that that issue got resolved over. We can see now that there are tiny little slashes that show you the last ones you used, these little tags, and I'm really happy about that because I'm not going to remember to do a / I think / meetings. This was one that I made for telling me what meetings I have coming up in my calendar. It doesn't actually work though, because even though my calendar is open in the upper left-hand tab, it's not very good. Oh, wait. Oh, it's actually able to do it this time. They solved that. Hey, hey, hey. Nice, nice, nice. Ah, it's able to actually tell me about my meetings now. Love. Okay, okay, awesome. Okay, let's go try another one. I found, for instance, that one of the skills is should I work here? And I think this one's actually a lot of fun. This is basically a UI for prompts. Oh, that's because I'm on the wrong page. Hang on a minute. Let's go to another site that's for hiring people. Is there a company that you want to know if it's a good place to work for yet, folks? Maybe MGA Dolls? Let's see, MGA Entertainment. Here we go. If you can think of a company you want to get the information on, we'll do that. So let's see, should I work here? These skills are just prompts. They are packaged prompts. And I feel like this is here we go. And it comes up with, it pays well but has mixed reviews. Competitors like Mattel and Lego offer better culture. MGA, by the way, makes the Bratz dolls and Rainbow High doll. They make a lot of weird things too. Like, I think those pooping unicorn toys. I never collected those, just to be clear. But when we go take a look at should I work here, it says the prompt is, when you put in, when you prefix a query with should I work here, the prompt is search for a company on Glassdoor and the other reputable sites where employees, both past and present, have left a review. Look at the competitors in the same field, base your findings, give me a recommendation on whether I should work here or continue to work here. Be brutally honest and ensure you include a comparison against the competitors. If you find the competitors to be better, then show me the current open positions. That's a really nice prompt. And you know what? It is something I would use if I were browsing. But I have an automation in Notion that I tell Claude once a week to go, check to see if there's any roles I should apply to. And one of its follow-ups is to do a little research on each one of the companies and add that to the page. And it just goes into a task heap for me, and I evaluate it when I get there. Very rarely am I visiting websites and going, should I work here? Like, no. I got an agent visiting those websites making that decision for me. So it's cool, but it's an interstitial set. The stock price one is interesting. You are an expert financial analyst with deep knowledge of markets. I want you to do a comprehensive analysis of this stock. And, it's actually pretty deep. And it's like, this could be good for researching. I'm just showing you a couple of them. Of course, Verify, I mentioned, it's a critical thinking analyst tasked with conducting a comprehensive argument evaluation. I feel like this is really useful for running your blog post past because I like to create strong arguments rather than just posting opinion pieces. There are bunches of these, and I think the skills gallery is what's setting Dia apart right now. It is... Like I've tried ChatGPT's prompts gallery back in the day. I don't use ChatGPT anymore, so it's like maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. I don't know. Probably better. OpenAI is going all in on making their making user experience the heart of what they do, making consumer grade. But I just liked that little touch here for the skills. They've been putting a lot of energy into skills, and it shows. Yeah, I gotta commend them for it. They're doing great on that. So let's see. We can upload files from the computer as well, which can be a lot of fun. For instance, Linear's got a bunch of careers open right now. So let's try this out. I'm gonna pretend that I'm browsing the Linear site, and I'm going to pick something. Here we go. Creative Director of Web and Brand. And I'm going to open up the chat, and I'm going to upload a file from my computer. It's going to be a resume. It's my TPM resume. And I'm going to say, you are a tech industry recruiter and career coach. How much of a match is this role with the candidate with the attached resume? And let's see what it has to say. Let's see if it can pull this off. Strong match. I'm not sure. With some caveats around direct brand leadership experience. Yeah, that's correct. I wouldn't say I'm a strong match. I've got the leadership and ecosystem expertise, and but I think the lack of design portfolio, marketing campaigns, and direct experience with brand and creative direction, I think they must be using Claude behind the scenes is way too kind. That's the other thing about Dia. You don't know where the AI is coming from. Like, is this a local model? Is this a custom model? Is everything going to OpenAI? It doesn't say. All of that's under lock and key. And it makes me wonder, like, one, where is the information going? And, what model is it using? By the way, ChatGPT has been caught advising women applying for roles to ask for half as much as men. So, like, that can make a big difference when it comes to, important things that you'd actually use tools like this for. And number two, there's no ability to swap out to use a different one if I wanted to. People want to be able to change the brains and guts of these devices and use, perhaps Quen or something that's personalized to them. And three, who's paying for this? I think that's the biggest question to ask if you're using something like Perplexity or Dia. Is AI is expensive. It's really expensive to use. You don't get any discounts in bulk when you're using AI. It's all custom to each person. It's very hard to cache. So where's the money coming from? With Perplexity, you can say the massive amounts of money that they've raised is what's paying for everything, and they're going to figure it out, figure out how to make money later. But for Dia, this thing has to be burning through so much cash to host each person. There's no subscription. The other day, I heard about a friend working on an extension that allows people to use ChatGPT in their browser. And in return, that extension logs each of their queries. The extension manufacturer, is above board about this. But the point is, I said, well, why would anyone want to build that? And they said to me, well, that's because a lot of people want to know what people are asking AI about. And that information, it doesn't leave Anthropic or OpenAI. They don't share it. So what do? You make an extension where people can use those products for free. In return, you get access to their queries. Ooh, it makes me wonder. Dia? A browser company? How are you paying for this? If you're not paying for the product, you're the product. I believe that. So I do have some questions. It's a very cute idea. It's very expensive to execute. The UX needs some finessing. It's definitely not as polished as Arc. The skills are great. I probably wouldn't actually use these because I have these conversations most of the time with Claude directly. I rarely visit the web, as I said. I have, Claude goes off and runs searches and things and visits the sites of the brands that I'm really wanting it to check out, etc. And we have conversations there, and it does cost money, and I pay for Claude. Anyway, the UI can be a little awkward. And you can't hide the sidebar. And the sidebar is going to follow you around until you die. I used to have a different kind of, profile in the sidebar that I could use. So I would have the space I'd go for work, the space I'd go for chores, etc. And I feel like combining that with skills would make this super powerful. Could you imagine what it would be like, for instance, to have like a studying tab that would allow you to, perform research, like you'd have all of your skills attached to just that set of tabs. Shopping. Oh my God. I kind of love that there's one in here that will help you There's one that will go out there, go forth and look up coupon codes. That is so handy. I love it. Yeah, I feel like these could be really put together with Arc's old profile management to create something that's super handy. And then I would probably leave Claude and do more of my work in the browser, because Claude is very all over the place. I've got all these different projects, and if I want to do a project, I have to go there. And if I'm doing this, I might as well be slipping between similar spaces in a browser like Arc. And so that makes me a little sad, because I think this would be very handy if it had just been made as a part of Arc. I think right now most people are a little salty with the browser company because they loved Arc, and then they feel like Arc was abandoned. And to be fair, it kind of was. Arc was abandoned and Dia was created, but Dia feels like the browser company is starting over from scratch. You know, they're using Chromium, and when you use Chromium, you're starting from, you know, Chrome without all the UI benefits, and they had to start over, and they lost a lot of the finesse, they lost a lot of the profile management. And what did we gain for it? We gained a chat bar. Now we can chat with pages, yeah. Not like you wouldn't just pass a URL to Claude and chat with Claude about those things. The UI isn't quite ready for navigating visually inside a page. Like I said, I can't just hover on something and be like, you know, let's talk about this, Dia. Like, there's no option to do that effectively. Let's see. Ask Dia about this. Tell me how the browser company ended up making 2 browsers instead of 1. I suspect, as I said, that the browser company ended up kind of getting caught in a situation where leadership or the people who held the purse strings saw that AI was taking off and that Arc's adoption had flatlined, and said, you know what, let's just make something, let's rethink the entire browsing the internet path, let's reimagine how it could be. And because we still live at the very beginning of this curve, all paths led back to building a browser with chat strapped to the side of it. Because making anything more complex than that probably faces some very real challenges. So the ambitions were there, the leadership was pushing in that direction, but what ended up happening was circling right back around to just building a better browser. But we already had a better browser. So my hope is that one day the browser company will say, hey, we're gonna have Arcia. Or Dark. Ooh, Dark. I love it. D-A-R-C. And it's all the best parts of Dia. You know, the skills, the not too bad interface for chatting with web pages. Let's be honest, it's not that bad. It needs work. But if they can put the same love that I'm seeing them put into that now, and, you know, they did fix the issue where I wasn't able to access my calendar from another page. Now I can actually say, you know, I can actually, if you look at my meetings prompt here, it actually passes my calendar page and, you know, lets me say like, when is my next meeting? And it can actually like tell me these things right here. That's pretty cool. What's important is that it's improving and it's getting better. And my hope is that the browser company will take the things that made Arc great and the things that they're trying to make great about Dia, and that they'll combine them, because I think the two together actually would have a real punchy chance of winning hearts and taking names, especially if they get it out before Comet and or whatever it is that we'll see coming from Alphabet. You know, like now is the time to iterate. And Arc already nailed a great experience for the non-agentic web. Now, if only they could take those same learnings and apply them to this AI-driven web. So, I'll be watching. I don't think I'll be switching to Dia anytime soon. I'm going to switch on to other things. But give it a try. See what you think. Make up your own mind. I do question where all of your queries are going. Like, how is this free? I know this is not free. I would love the browser company to explain where the money for all of these AI bells and whistles is coming from and where the knowledge is going. But that said, I have some hopes. If anybody could pull it off, it would be the browser company. So next time, we are going to be playing around with Comet. I've got it right here, ready to be installed, and I started installing it yesterday, and just like Dia, I was so blown away by the installation scenario, like the animations in the movies. I was like, hold up, I gotta live stream this. So we'll be seeing what Perplexity brings to the table. I'm really curious about this because Perplexity doesn't have a dog in the browser fight, so to speak. So what are they thinking of a browser that is answering questions first? Perplexity, I really admire because they're bringing discernment to the agentic web. Up until recently, like when you do a search with Claude's web tools are terrible. It brings terrible results. Google has a great algorithm for finding what you want. It's just buried under ads. What's Perplexity's experience going to be like? I love it when we come in early before things have been enshittified. I feel like that's what we've got here is we've got, Dia is at that place where it's not been enshittified. We aren't paying for any of this. We don't know where it's going, but it's probably not being used for nefarious purposes yet. Yeah, give it a look. See what you think, and come back next time. We're going to check out some more of these browsers. Looking forward to Comet and Strawberry next up on the list. Bye.